Greetings. Welcome to my weekend market recap, 3rd December 2022. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional, swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques that I developed. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website superiorprofit.co, Twitter handle Superior Profit, and YouTube channel Trading Profitably. All these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risk of standardized options document from Options Clearing Corporation to decide if options trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems for my trading. All the Q components run on the Metastock platform and the technical analysis component runs on TradeStation as well. There are multiple Q elements. I'll try to use many of them in this session. That was the last slide. Let's continue with the live systems. First, let's have a look at the dollar index UUP. This is the ETF. On this week in the market recap, I mentioned that the drop was sharp, large drop, and that it was probably not the end of the down move. And 3 weeks have passed since then. Now, when we look back, we see that my analysis as of this week has come true. Price has come down further. Now it is approaching jump thrust low in the daily chart, that is an extended down move, and the down move happened very fast. In fact, on this day both jump and thrust hit the magenta color. Price tends to reverse from there. However, I will wait for a bullish signal before taking a long trade, and the very reliable bullish signal, if it comes, will be a big move up 3 from here. If the big move up 3 doesn't come, then we may look for other signals like a proper Q long trade setup in UUP to anticipate the dollar going up from there. Currently it is oversold, and if I was trading dollar, I wouldn't short it, but it is certainly declining. Once again, if we look back and look at the prior analysis using Q systems, that analysis came true, that is, it turned out to be profitable. I will later look at the Indian rupees and explain once again why I do not look at forex markets to decide my stock trades. Before looking at INR, let's look at the other global markets, starting with all ordinaries of Australia. Let's look back. The more we look back and see how we had analyzed using live systems these instruments in the past, then see how profitable those analyses turned out to be. Right when all ordinaries came here, it gave a series of flow trend following long setups. That was the optimal time to take a long position in all ordinaries. As it hit the upper boundary, partial position profit could be booked and the remaining position is continuing to be held, letting profit run. Here also I see it is approaching jump thrust high, so I will be cautious. However, because half position profit has already been booked, we don't have to be overly cautious. We may simply apply the trailing stop using Q protection signal on the remaining position. Again, we could enter long position in all ordinaries at the perfect time. Now it is overbought above the upper boundary. That is a reason not to take a new long trade. Also, it displayed a possible reversal headwind signal. That is yet another reason not to take a new long trade. Anyway, Q traders don't buy extended instruments that are approaching jump thrust high. We would have bought at swing low using the flow trend following long setup. Uptrending, but I will not buy now. Japan Stopics Index. Remember the bearish headwind signal that I pointed to in all ordinaries. That bearish headwind came in topics right at the very top. We see how profitable once again that alert turned out to be. Right after displaying the bearish headwind, which tends to come at the very top out of nowhere, it seems, price has fallen sharply. When the bearish headwind came, it also came down below the watermark resistance with bear release signal. Price was already at jump thrust high. It created a false upside breakout, and the false upside breakout was happening in the weekly interval as well. Looking at all these signals, overextended instrument, a false upside breakout, bearish headwind, bear release signal, you could short topics right at this point, and by now it has given a sizable profit much bigger than the risk taken in the trade. And though I am analyzing different instruments, the same techniques, same signals, same setups can be used in any country, any market, so long as the instruments are liquid. Topics came down from watermark resistance. Where is it now? It is right at the yellow direction line. It has already pulled back significantly from the swing high. Others may be noticing the downturn, but we would have shorted at the top. Now we are not going to short. Instead, if price can go up from the yellow direction line, it may give a pullback long trade setup, and that could be a signal to take new long trades in topics, or as I prefer, in underlying strong fundamental stocks. It is still in an uptrend, therefore a pullback setup may come, pullback long setup may come if price goes up from here. Next, China's CSI 300 index. Let's look back on my analysis in earlier market recaps. Right when CSI 300 was at this point, I mentioned that it was probably going to go up and suggested taking long positions. From there, price has gone up significantly. If you took a swing long trade, when I first turned bullish in say 300, and you notice I turned bullish at the bottom. Why did I turn bullish? Remember, it had a bullish headwind signal. Price went up with big move up 3, retested that watermark level, created a somewhat deep false downside breakout, and price once again went up with big move up 3 from that price level. The big move up 3 movements at price extreme low was showing that bigger traders were stepping in to buy right at the bottom. Since then, I turned bullish and it has gone up significantly, covered much more than the risk distance. Once again, live Q analysis proved to be profitable. What is the current state? It is in an uptrend, higher high, higher low. Weekly is also bullish. It has pulled back for 2 days. If it comes down little bit more, hits all these ascending direction lines, goes up again from the direction lines which include the yellow direction line, then we'll have a possible pullback long setup as well as a flow trend following long trade setup. That will be a time to buy China market stocks once again. Right now, I will wait for the Q trade setup. Next, India market, but before that, remember I mentioned I would like to explain once again why I don't rely on forex markets to trade stocks. Let's look at the Indian rupee currency. We could do with the daily chart. Indian rupee weakened for a long time, and Indian rupee weakens if this candle chart is going up. That means rupee is becoming weaker. Then right at the very top, once again the bearish headwind came, tried to go up, created a false downside breakout, tried to go up once again, created a triple top, could be also looked at as a head and shoulder pattern, and now it came down little bit. It strengthened a little bit, not a lot, it strengthened a little bit from the top. If rupee strengthened and if we could anticipate a move of the stock market, we would think, some people would think that Nifty index would come down, but that didn't happen. And that is why I don't rely on forex charts to decide stock trades. Let's look at Nifty 50. My internet is slow here. I'm living in a village in Thailand. Please bear with me. This is Nifty 50 index. Now let's look back when price was here. In that weekend market recap, I mentioned that most likely Nifty 50 was going to go up and make a new all-time high. That indeed happened. All along the backdrop color remained bullish, didn't change to even neutral yellow color. It remained bullish cyan color, and it did make a new all-time high this week. The candle shape in the weekly chart is indecisive because it has an upper tail. It did not come down below the watermark resistance that would have created a false upside breakout, and that could be a signal to look for short trades. That is about the weekly chart. Again, looking back, my analysis on this day using live markets, anticipating a new all-time high, worked out, and it gave a number of profitable long trades. I look at some of the Indian market stocks that I shared, bullish trades that I shared, they easily hit the profit target during this period. How about the daily? Daily has displayed a bearish headwind, possible reversal signal. That's a reason to be cautious. I'm not going to buy many stocks now, at least not stocks that are also making new all-time high. I am reluctant to buy those. As you know, my style is to buy stocks at a lower price level, fundamentally strong stocks in strong industries, but at a lower price level, and I keep on sharing them for USA, India, both markets, and a large percentage of them hit the profit target. Why I mentioned that is that Nifty 50 itself made a new all-time high. It is displaying a bearish headwind approaching high jump, has a bear release signal also. Those are reasons not to buy Nifty as a whole. However, there were industries and stocks that were languishing at pendulum or price extreme low. Instead of being at price extreme high, as is the case for Nifty, those industries and stocks were at price extreme low. So Nifty was approaching new all-time high, but those stocks were languishing. And in last couple of weeks, those stocks, those industries started to go up, and I was happy to buy them, and I shared some of them publicly before knowing the results. Let's look at one such stock that I shared in the last market recap. That was Birla Soft. BIRS is the Reuters symbol. Once again, let's look back and see how nicely I could analyze the stock. I suggested buying the stock here. I don't remember exactly on this day or this day, one of these 2 days. I suggested buying the stock, and I mentioned in the market recap that I did take a long position in Birlasoft using stocks. The stop would be just below the trend line support. Stop was never hit. Instead, price sharply went up. It has broken multiple trendline resistance in daily. There is a big move up 3 in the current week. Looking at that, you could book partial profit. Certainly, we would book partial profit following Q guidelines and apply trailing stop in the remaining position. Now, let's see why again I suggested buying the stock. That was using a very reliable pattern that the stock hit jump thrust low, hit price extreme low, and then all of a sudden there was a big move up 3. I didn't identify the stock right at that point, but as it started to move up, created higher high, higher low, a trend line support formed, you could take a long position using the bullish flow signals. And I think it also gave a breakout long trade setup. Anyway, I remember I explained this very useful aka profitable pattern in Birlasoft, that it was a jump and thrust low, price extreme low, and then came big move up 3. Very profitable pattern. Is that pattern a signal to buy? No. The buy signals are using Q trade setups, but if the pattern comes, I am ready to look for a trade setup even in stocks that are downtrending, even in a stock that others are unwilling to buy. But I am happy to buy, and as was true in this case also, it made profit, hit the profit target very easily. This is an example of a stock that was not following Nifty. Nifty was making new all-time high and this stock was languishing at price extreme low. That's what I mentioned, that I wouldn't buy stocks in the Indian market now that are also making new all-time highs, but I am happy to buy stocks that are at a lower price level, fundamentally strong, in strong industries are going up. Let me show another stock. Again, though the analysis I am explaining in this case on Indian stocks, the same signals, systems, techniques can be applied to any country, including USA. Why I am sharing this stock is that this is a trend following setup and this is not in a stock that was at price extreme low. Recently, I had a call with one Indian trader. We were looking for buy setups and I identified this healthcare stock Lupin right on this day that had a flow trend following long setup in the daily chart. It was not at price extreme low. However, it was making nice swing high, swing low pattern and it gave me a flow long setup right on this candle. That is when I suggested the trade. I also shared it publicly before knowing the results in the Q Indian traders chat room, one WhatsApp group that we have. I took the trade using short put and I explained earlier, when I am happy to hold the stock longer term, then instead of buying the stock outright, I sometimes short the put slightly below the current stock price level. Usually I do that so that if I get assigned, I get to buy the stock at a lower price. What would be my strike in this case? That would be the trend line support, because those trend lines work very well, the memory trend lines. It is less likely to break below the trend line support within the expiry period, or even if it breaks, it's likely to come back up. That's why I shorted the put in this case using the trend line support, and as price went up, it easily hit the profit target of 50% of max profit. At least partial profit could be booked as I have done. That means that I don't only trade, or Q traders not only trade stocks that are at price extreme low, that are breaking out from price extreme low, that are giving headwind reversal signals, but we are equally happy to take trend following trades, and I confidently shared them publicly once again in case of Lupin. Let's now look at the last of the global markets we study, Footsie of UK. My view on Footsie remains the same as I explained in the previous week. It is going up, but there are many trendline resistances in both weekly and daily. It is hugging the daily boundary level, upper boundary, for many days. That is overextended. The stretch signal is also showing that it is overbought for many days. I'm not going to buy now. Instead, if price could hit the trendline resistance, or even better, goes above it and comes down immediately, that will create a false upside breakout, and I am happy to look for short trades at that time. Now I am not going to short, of course, because there is a trendline support. Not going to buy because it is overbought. Only one of these markets made a new all-time high this week. That is the Indian market, which continues to be the strongest, irrespective of how dollar versus rupee is moving. Now let's look at the USA market. Let's use TradeStation for that. Q Elite on TradeStation. Start with S&P 500 ETF SPY. It is right at trendline resistance in both daily and weekly. Is it bullish? Yes. Weekly backdrop color is bullish for many weeks right after it displayed the not bearish, bullish headwinds which caught the very bottom of the instrument. It is bullish straight up, at least in terms of the backdrop color, straight up for many weeks, but now it is right at trendline resistance, and Q traders including myself, we never buy at trendline resistance, so I am not going to buy it. In daily it is also inside a triangle pattern. I'm not going to short it. I'll wait for price to break out of the triangle pattern to decide my trading direction. What is the market pattern? For that I use the daily chart, and if we use the daily chart it is inside a triangle. No preferred trading direction. What about QQQ? QQQ is also in a triangle pattern in daily. However, the trend line resistance in some distance away. Same is true for the weekly chart. Trend line resistance is some distance away. On this day, when we had a bullish flow candle, then you could consider taking a long trade in QQQ, or as I prefer, one of the constituent stocks. Even now, we may look for long trades in QQQ. It is not at trendline resistance yet and has a trendline support nearby. So if I had to take a long trade in one of SPY and QQQ, I would favor QQQ, and I would have taken the long trade on this day, most probably using real-time precision entry chart. DIA is also very strong. It was the strongest of the market ETFs, gone up for many weeks with bullish backdrop. Now in the daily it has displayed bearish headwind at the watermark resistance, and price has stalled there, approaching jump thrust high. I will be reluctant to buy DIA now. Another reason I will be reluctant to buy is because it is too close to the upper boundary. We could have bought at this point when we had the bullish flow, or at this point when it created a double bottom at the price level where a bullish headwind came earlier. That would be the optimal time to buy. Not now, not in Q techniques. It is too extended to the upside. Am I going to short now? No, there is no short trade setup, but I'll avoid buying DIA now. And this approach works very well. Remember, all the analysis I do live, I share trade setups in multiple markets. They tend to work out very well. You may follow that yourself, of course, don't believe me. You may watch the YouTubes, follow the Twitters, and see how they are working out and apply the systems and techniques yourselves. DIA I'll avoid buying. What about IWM? In the last several market recaps, I expressed the view that because the trendline resistance was nearby, I was not going to buy. And once again, the proof of pudding is in eating. That analysis turned out to be very effective, aka also known as profitable in my jargon. Price stalled right at the trendline resistance. Am I going to short? No. The backdrop color is bullish in weekly, traffic candle color bullish in daily. There is no shorting opportunity. However, if price reverses from the trendline resistance in both daily and weekly, I'll be happy to look for shorting opportunities in underlying, that is small cap, weak fundamental stocks. Now it is bullish, but near resistance I'll not buy. I looked at the 4 market ETFs and my conclusion is that if I wanted to buy one of them, I would prefer QQQ. And that market level analysis is telling me that I could prefer buying technology stocks, which was lagging for a long time. See, once again, I am inclined to buy stocks that are starting to go up. Technology stocks were relatively weaker earlier, but some of them are starting to go up. Will I buy mega caps? Mega caps were languishing for a long time, isn't it? That is the time when I start to look for buying opportunities. Let's look at the mega cap tech custom index that we have in Q Global Market Breadth. Mega cap tech custom index. Let's look at the Q signals. A bullish headwind came in the weekly at this point. Price retested the watermark created by the bullish headwind. That watermark held and now it broke out of the trendline resistance. Actually, 3 of them in the weekly chart with a bullish flow. The weekly is looking very bullish. The optimal time to buy, in fact, if you look at the weekly chart, that is using Q technique. What about daily? Daily created a false downside breakout at this point. We had 2 successive bullish indecisions. As I mentioned, one of them is important. Multiple of them coming together alerts us further to look for a buy setup. What came after that? A big move up 3 and a bullish flow. You could buy right at that point. That would be using big move up 3 and a box long trade setup. If you could trade mega cap tech stocks. And after that, on this day, remember this was the day when I mentioned I could buy QQQ or constituent stocks. That day gave another bullish flow, a possible flow trend following long setup. Price was breaking out of multiple trendline resistances in weekly, and I imagine it was breaking trendline resistance in daily as well, which we may confirm using Q Elite. If we wanted to, we could do that. What is this telling? This is telling that it is the time to buy mega caps once again. Has breakups in both weekly, daily, and going up from pendulum low and displayed a big move up 3 right at the very bottom. Isn't it beautiful how the big move up 3 alerts us that big players are coming into the market? And let us tie that to the only USA buy idea I shared in the previous recap before knowing the results. That was on Tesla. One of the mega cap stocks. What was the pattern? Remember the pattern in Birlasoft? That was the pattern I applied in Tesla also, and I think most people were bearish on Tesla. But I saw this pattern near jump thrust low, at price extreme low. Then all of a sudden came big move up 3. Big players stepped in, came a bullish headwind reversal signal that comes right at the very bottom. That was the time I shared the buy idea in the previous market recap. So price was here, right here. I suggested buying, and I also mentioned that my preferred instrument was short put vertical. If you took the trade, if you did the same analysis, took the trade, then the trade already made a significant profit. Probably it hit more than 50% of profit of the max profit. That was the profit target. You could exit at least partial position. Aren't these all tying up nicely? First, when I looked at the market ETFs, I concluded that I would prefer buying QQQ or technology stocks. Then I looked at mega cap tech custom index that is having a beautiful breakout in both daily and weekly, and that is tied up very nicely with the only long trade setup I shared in the previous market recap on Tesla, which was at a very low price level, and it has gone up enough to give a profitable swing trade. Will I buy now? No. I like to buy at a lower price level. I will not buy Tesla today. I would have bought when I shared it as a buy idea right at this price level. And again, the instrument is also important. I would have used short put vertical. That worked out very well. This pattern of stocks at jump thrust low, price extreme low, then comes a sudden big move up 3 works very well for catching bottoms. So technology stocks and mega cap stocks are preferred. What about market internals? An extremely useful, valuable market health check chart using market breadth. Remember the day when I would have bought QQQ? Right on that day, in the market breadth total view, we have a large accumulation count. That was a very high bullish move in terms of market internals. It also gave an Eureka day. That's a bullish momentum signal in terms of market breadth. Eureka signal was created by Mr. Ian Woodward, may him rest in peace. We had both Eureka as well as large accumulation count. That was the day to look for buy setups. However, my buying inclination would be tempered by the fact that the yellow line, that is percentage of stocks above 50 MA, was also hitting on the same day the overbought level. I don't like to buy when the market breadth total view is at overbought level. So I would have applied the same comment that I applied for India's Nifty 50 index, that in Nifty 50 was making all-time high. I would avoid buying overbought stocks, but if there were stocks that were languishing and starting to go up, I would have bought them, provided they were fundamentally strong and in strong industries. And using the same approach, I would be careful about buying stocks now, but there are stocks that were languishing, like Tesla, one of them. They are starting to go up. I would have bought them, and in Tesla, I had a profitable trade idea shared already. So reason to be cautious on the market as a whole, because whenever the yellow line hits the overbought level, it tends to pull back. Am I going to short? No. I'll wait for a proper short signal before shorting, but I'll be careful about buying now. Also, the 3-month new high low is approaching the overbought level. Notice it tried to reach the overbought level multiple times during this period since late October, but didn't quite hit the overbought level. Whereas here, late July, early August, it actually hit the overbought level, and from there price came down. I'm thinking that it is possible next week it will hit the overbought level, and then if the 3-month new high low comes down, kind of bear release signal happens in terms of this market internal signal, that might be a time to look for shorting opportunities in stocks that were also overbought. So what would be those trade setups? Those would be reversal setups like headwind, bounce short, box short, those setups. Those may not be flow trend following short setups, because that would be shorting opportunity for stocks at the very high. And again, I will short stocks only when they are fundamentally weak in terms of either valuation or growth, and also in weak industries. Now the market breadth is looking bullish but overbought, so I will be cautious about buying. What about market internals from Q edge? That is in terms of sector, industry, stock advance decline from 1 month to 1 day. They are overall bullish. Green portions are bigger than red portions for all the charts, all the pie charts. However, notice one thing. 1 month is more green than 10 days. 10 days is more green than 5 days. 5 days is more green than 1 day. That means though it is bullish all across the periods, the bullishness is gradually reducing. It is still bullish. 1 day, 2 day, they are still bullish. 5 days also bullish, but the bullishness is reducing, and that is nicely tying up with what we saw in the market breadth total view, that it is bullish but it is getting overbought, and when it is overbought, it is natural that the bullishness is slowing down. That the market is bullish, we have confirmation of that from the percentage of stocks above mid Bollinger Band at 80%, that is bullish and that is hitting overbought level. However, if you look at the bucket analysis, that is the percentage of stocks above upper boundary, that's at a relatively small percentage, 6%. That will be overbought if it hits 30%. So there is a long way to go before bucket analysis becomes overbought. That means what? That means that market is at a overbought level. When we look at market breadth total view, we see bullishness is slowing down when we look at sector, industry, stock advance decline, but some stocks have way to go before they become overbought, and those are the stocks we may look for buy setups. I'll try to look for some buy setups today, maybe at least one, and you may use these analysis techniques systems to find new setups yourself, other setups yourself. Before doing that, in fact, let me do a top-down analysis. Many weeks I might not have done a top-down analysis. I have done 360 degrees analysis, but maybe using bottom-up or fundamental first. I haven't done top-down analysis in recent recaps. I will do that. But before that, let's look at the technical breadth. Balance between bulls and bears, first using weekly interval Q finder, that is bullish for all signals, for strength signals, for trend continuation signals, even reversal signals. Everything is bullish. Is there enough bearish headwinds in the weekly interval? No, that percentage is very small. So there is no reason to be bearish from the technical perspective, weekly interval. What about Friday? Friday, all signals bullish, trend continuation bullish, strength is very bearish, but reversals are bullish. And if we look at the absolute numbers of strength versus reversal, reversals are actually more. That means that in this case, bearish strength followed by bullish reversal, they turned out to be bullish. Large number of gap down open, but large number of reversals. That is a bullish pattern. So Friday's pattern is also bullish. Again, stocks that are already overbought, I'll avoid buying, but there are certainly buying opportunities. And if I look for buying opportunities, one way to look for them is to look for the setups that have large percentage of stocks or larger percentage of stocks in this case. And I can see you could look for breakouts, you could look for flow trend following setups, you could look for reversals, and also stocks that are touching trend line support, a very low risk entry. That would be a bottom up analysis starting with technical signals, but I have done that in recent weeks. Let me do a top down. Before doing that, let me summarize. Market is bullish, overbought, but there are stocks that are not overbought yet because the bucket analysis is nowhere close to being overbought. We could look to buy those stocks. And indeed, Tesla was one of them that I shared last week. What about this week? Let's go to Q edge, do a top down analysis. Market level is bullish enough for me to look for buying opportunities. In fact, one thing you would notice in the last several market recaps and also on Twitter, what were the trades that I shared? Were they bullish or bearish? If I remember correctly, I think 100% of them were bullish in the USA market. And I think same in the Indian market also. And as I always say, if you follow the trade directions that I am taking, you know what is my inclination, bullish or bearish. Market was somewhat overbought, still somewhat overbought, but there were stocks that were giving buy setups. I shared some of them. I might have taken others as well. The same conclusion now. Bullish stocks. I'm not looking for bearish trades. Let's look at sector analysis using the sector scorecard. Let's look at 1 day period. I prefer to decide swing trades or even longer term investment entries using the 1 day period scorecard. Which one is the strongest of all sectors? Materials. If you want to buy strongest of the strongest using top down, you would drill down into materials, or you could look in consumer staples also. Interesting, isn't it? Materials is non-defensive, but consumer staples is defensive. They both came to the top. Somewhat mixed signal if you think of the sectors that are defensive versus non-defensive. Let's look at materials. Why am I also looking at materials? Not only because it is at the top, it is the strongest sector, but also remember we looked at UUP, that is bearish. It is oversold, but it is still bearish. That favors material stocks. Again, I am not deciding my stock trades using forex charts, but that is something I look at and I have at the back of my mind. In any case, in top down, I would have drilled down into materials first because that is the strongest sector. Let's do that with a single click. Go down to all the industries in material sector. Again, sort them by Friday's performance. and see the scores. We have total 148 industries at present, and number of industries will get recalculated if there is any change in the USA market stocks. So if a new industry gets added, maybe Mars exploration in future, that industry will come here automatically. One thing, a nice thing to notice is that many of the materials industries are near the highest score. That is nice. Which one would you drill down? You could drill down. In fact, one way is to select all the ones that are within 20% of all industries in material sector. All these are in material sector because I drill down from material sector to underlying industries. But let's be more picky. When I look at it, and once you get used to it, you will find things very quickly. Aluminum is one where it is among the strongest in terms of strength, strongest among top 20% of all industries in terms of strength, and also among the top 20% in terms of acceleration. The pace column shows acceleration. That is a sweet point. That's a sweet industry to look for buying opportunities. Not only very strong, it's also accelerating very fast. The industry went up by a very high, more than 2% on Friday. So aluminum is one we could drill down to. Let's drill down to the S&P 1500 stocks first. One click, very easy. These are the few aluminum stocks in S&P 1500. A nice mixture of small cap, mid cap, large cap stocks, mega caps also, and avoids junk stocks or speculative stocks. Now, I want to buy only fundamentally strong stocks. Doing top-down analysis from sector to industry to now fundamental, I'm going to look for at least 1-star bullish stocks, that is stocks that are either undervalued or having earnings growth. I have only one, ARNC. It is undervalued. Though earnings growth is not there, I'm allowed to buy using one of them. Having both of them strong is even better, but one of them is enough. Insiders are bullish. There is a short squeeze potential. Let's look at the chart. ARNC, Arconic. It is in an uptrend. Price has nicely gone up after this bullish flow trend following long setup. I would have bought at that point here. Stop would be right below trend line support that was not hit. It has hit the upper boundary easily. Now it is above upper boundary. Now it is overbought, shown by the stretch signal. I'm not going to buy. So we found a stock in the strongest sector, strong industry, strong fundamental. We could have done the same analysis a few days earlier and we could take a long position at that time. I will not buy. I don't like to buy overbought stocks. We have very clear guidelines when to buy. Low risk buy point, it has hit the profit target. So okay, Arconic didn't give a buy setup, but I looked at only S&P 1500 stocks. I found Arconic. Why don't I do a peer analysis? So now I am looking at more stocks in the same industry. Using QVital, I am carrying out a peer analysis. I have 6 stocks now. And remember, we saw relatively using the industry scorecard, sector scorecard, the sector industries, both were very strong for Arconic. Now we see in itself also 100% of the peer stocks of Arconic went up on Friday. Let's look at the peer stocks and see if we find another bullish stock in terms of either valuation or earnings growth. I find another one, CSTM. The second one is Arconic itself, CSTM. Let's do a peer fundamental analysis. I can read the scorecard from here, but let's look at the single page scorecard. You can readily read the signals from both, but let's use the one page view so that we have a look at the graphs also if we wanted to. Now I am looking at the fundamental scorecard of CSTM, and this is looking beautiful in terms of fundamentals. Undervalued stock, in whichever way you look at valuation or secondary valuation, has a high earnings growth. So it's not just 1 star, it is 3 star. 1 plus 1 becomes 3 in this case. And it has revenue growth also. So now it has become a diamond fundamental stock, bullish. It has a short squeeze potential as well, another reason to buy. So CSTM is fundamentally strong. In fact, stronger than Arconic. Does it have a low risk buy setup? Let's find that out. Single click to open the chart in Q Global. You could open it Q Elite also. This is looking nice. That is giving a low risk buy setup. In fact, the setup came on Wednesday. Wednesday, when we have the bullish flow and the flow long trade setup, price didn't go up much from there. In fact, it might have closed little bit lower than the signal day on Friday. Friday's candle shape color both are bullish, so you could buy using the flow long setup that came on Wednesday. In this case, it would be okay to buy at the close on Friday as well. Stop would be just below the trend line support. I'm seeing another very useful pattern. Remember the one I used to trade Birlasoft, the pattern I used to explain Tesla buy setup, that same pattern came here. Very strong fundamental stock. Jump thrust low at price extreme low. All of a sudden, at that low price level, at extended bearish level came big move up 3. Big player stepped in. After that, didn't go up much, but it didn't fall down also. Then came another big move up 3. I didn't find it on those days. I found it today. I found it today, just now, along with all of you in this live market recap. And I am willing to buy it with a stop just below the trend line support. Exactly where that you could decide using the Q stop chart template. Now I'll also show one thing. I'm working on the commentary. It's a very nice feature of Metastock, and I'm writing the Q commentary on Metastock. Let's open the commentary. This is a way to read the chart, especially if you are new to Q systems or you want to refresh your Q systems. You don't want to miss anything valuable while trading. You could open the commentary, and on Friday, now this pointer is on Friday's candle, and you can also see it from the commentary itself. Friday, December 2, there is no trade setup, and you could use these arrow keys to move backward or forward, or you could click on the chart. Let's click on the chart on the day, that is Wednesday. See, the commentary is reading the chart on Wednesday now, calculating everything. What does it show? Indeed, there was a flow, that is trend following long setup on Wednesday. You can learn about all the signals from the learning section. Everything is open to the public, but let's scroll down. If it is green color, it is bullish, or it is at oversold level, that is another reason to be bullish. That's how the commentary is colored. Let's scroll down. Trend analysis is uptrending, green. Below that comes the toolbox analysis. It reads all the signals of importance in the chart as of that day. Let's scroll down, look at the toolbox analysis. Let's look at the green colors. Price went up. Traffic light momentum is bullish. On top of that, CSTM starting to go up after a pause or pullback, that is flow is also bullish. Flow is an essential component of the trend following flow long setup. So that was also bullish. Relative performance tilted up. It was outperforming the market. It has a big move up, level 1. Those were the bullish signals. So it had a flow long setup, and you could read more detail on the chart as of that day. That would be the signal day, and you could also take a long position on Friday. Let's look at it using weekly daily. I call this at a glance because you can apply the checklist conditions for each of the trade setups using this single chart template. Weekly daily. Daily had a flow setup. To confirm that, we would need a bullish backdrop in weekly, and weekly is having bullish backdrop, that is cyan color, for many weeks including this week. So it confirmed a trend following long setup on Wednesday, and as I explained, we could even buy at the close on Friday. So we could find a viable setup, low risk setup, using top down analysis. We are at 1 hour point. I will not go through more stocks, but using this simple yet comprehensive approach, you are able to find trades in all market conditions, as I keep on sharing in all the market recaps. Let's end today's session here. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you in my next market recap, most likely next weekend. Have a great weekend, and as these live examples show, all the analysis that I share before knowing the results, as they show, there is no reason not to do that. That is trade profitably. Thank you.